Welcome to Live Sense8. I'm Sheila Applegate.
And I'm Zac Hansen.
And a special shout out to Justin Applegate for the composition of the Live Sense8 podcast music. In this podcast, we dive deep into the concepts of consciousness and other interesting trivia in the Netflix original series Sense8. We're doing an episode-by-episode exploration of how we can live a Sense8 life. And we're also talking with cast and crew and team members of Sense8 to hear the experience from their perspective.
Enjoy the show. And this week's episode is brought to you by Divine Phoenix Books. Books with a purpose for a positive change. What's going on?
In this segment, we talk about what's going on in the world of Sense8 fandom. So pretty soon, we have the special episode coming up on June 8th. So mark your calendar. And just a reminder, if you decide to have a Sense8 party to watch that episode, and I'm thinking about that because a friend just suggested it, just remember that everyone you invite needs to be instructed to leave Netflix playing at home so that it records as numbers, because we all want to hang together and have a great time. And having been at the Chicago screening, being with other people is really fun, but we don't want that to then show only as one person. So just remember, leave it playing at home if you're watching it somewhere else. And we've got, as a countdown, we've got lots of countdowns going on, including some rewatches. And Sense8 Worldwide is doing a special countdown from day 10 to the final episode. And you may see some little appearances from Live Sense8 in there, maybe even some other people. The Global Cluster is doing a happy birthday video for Lana. So to submit and be a part of that video for Lana's birthday, send an email with your message to lanaw@gmail.com before June 15th. And that is being put on by the Global Cluster, and they're going to give her a happy birthday video. We also have the I Am We campaign, which has a contest going on between May 28th and the deadline for submission is June 7th, and the announcement will be on June 12th. And that one, you are in a contest to win an autograph from either Max, who plays Wolfgang, or Brian, who plays Will. And what you need to do is you need to promote Sense8 by printing out a promotional invite or a poster of Sense8 and distributing it by mail to a local LGBTQ organization, media news agency, or press agency, etc. Something like that that can help propel the message forward and reach more viewers. And once you do that, before you put it in the mail, take a photo of the letter or the package and then tag the I Am We campaign on social media, or you can email it to them at iamwecampaign@hotmail.com. If you follow I Am We campaign on Facebook or Twitter, you can find some poster and invite prototypes, or you can create your own. So if you want a autograph of Max or Brian, and if you want to support the Sense8 movement, then go ahead and send out those those letters and packages. All right, let's get on with this special episode.
In this special episode, Sheila and I are going to talk about our amazing trip to Chicago to see that very, very unique special event of the screening of Love Conquers All, the season 2 finale.
And don't worry, there will be no spoilers, so you can listen. At the very end of the episode, we're going to talk a little bit about our feelings in the reaction to the episode, but we're going to give you a warning. Even in that, we won't give out any spoilers, but just know that we'll let you know when that's coming. So sit back, relax, and take this journey with us.
Where to begin? Well, it all started out with meeting Maximilienne Ewalt and her beau, James. Amazing.
Amazing.
It was like a family reunion.
It was. And so a little backstory is Maximilienne had arranged for us to stay in this incredible B&B together, which we might give a shout out to in our blog because it was so amazing. So if you're ever in Chicago, 5 stars to them.
Oh, yeah.
And so we got there ahead and they came in the evening and we were out on the deck. And for me, you know, we just gave hugs and everything. And then Maximilian and I were standing on the deck in this beautiful evening and just hugging each other and just like starting, you know, the conversation. And then we're like, wow, this is the first time we're meeting. and it was like I had forgotten. And she said the same thing. And she's like, yeah, but we'd been visiting. And we're both like, yes. Because it was so cool because it was like, this is what it's like when the Sense8s come together. You feel like you already know each other.
Right. And it was so seamless. Usually, so I've met a lot of people online in person from many different channels and stuff. And usually like there's this little bit of awkwardness because you got to get used to maybe a face that you haven't seen before to a voice or whatever. There's just like this pause and like, oh yeah, that was non-existent. It was just so it was beautiful.
Seamless. Yeah. And that's happened like even with my, you know, cluster mate or twin flame, that when he was around, even if we were just days apart from each other and we'd been up in those higher realms talking, there was always an adjustment. But you're right. That was notable. There was notable adjustment. Like just here we are.
Yep. And the whole trip was like that.
It was that.
It was great.
It was so cool and so awesome. And Maximilian and James, we love you so much.
Yes, we do.
And so then, you know, we hadn't made any plans for what we're doing for the weekend. So we made one plan. And Maximilian and James had some things to go to. But so we sit down and she's like, you know what I really want to do? I want to do couple pedicure and manicures.
Yeah, she did.
So Zac, how'd you feel about that?
You know, it was the first pedicure and manicure I had ever, but it was a blast, I have to say. And my toenails and fingernails look way better. They feel better. It was quite a ride for me, and it was fun. We had a great time.
We really did. That was a lot of fun. And we got pictures. You'll see pictures of all of us, especially the guys. It was James's first time. Yeah, it was
James's first time too.
So that was our first adventure the next day after hours and hours of sitting on the deck. And there was one point in there too. There was a lot of kind of like merging and surrealness because we were sitting there around these tables on this deck having breakfast. And that scene with Maximilian and Nomi and Freema and the dads, and they start kind of talking politics. Well, we kind of got into politics, and there's this
a lot.
Yeah, there's this one moment where I'm like, "Oh my god, we're in that scene in real life." So that was pretty cool too.
Yeah,
very cool. So that just started the day, and then.
So let's talk about James a little bit. We got to give him a huge shout out because James, he is a huge promoter of this show.
He is a Sense8 in
They should pay James. Netflix should be like, James, have a job.
Basically, he's
so
the
good at
Jehovah Witness of Sense8.
But way cooler because people don't like lock their doors and run away or walk to the other side of the street.
Right,
or,
exactly.
You know, they don't know it's coming.
Sometimes he waits till you get in the Uber or the Lyft and the driver's kind of contained.
Yeah,
They're committed.
You can't go anywhere. No, it's not like that. He's very good at talking and meeting people.
Yeah, it became so fun. So the first evangelic encounter, we had just gotten out of the pedicure and manicure, and we were walking down the street, and Maximilienne has this beautiful sun hat, and she she had like a wrap on. So we're walking by, and this young woman says, "Oh, I like your outfit," but they had gone a little ahead, and so Maximilienne didn't hear it, and so I just kind of smiled at her and said, "Thank you for Maximilienne." And James noticed. So next thing we know, James is backed up and he's talking.
So we had to stop walking. We're like, where'd James go?
Walking. And he's with this young woman. Her mom's off in the corner. I mean, she was an adult, but it was a mom-daughter that was there. So the mom was off waiting for her and did not, she's just watching this like, what the heck is going on? Because James comes up and he says, "Do you watch Netflix?" And the girl goes, "Yeah." He goes, "Do you watch Sense8?" And she's like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Do you like it?" She's like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
And then he says, "Well, I think, did he go right on to the special or did he go to Maximilienne?"
He went to Max.
Okay, so he goes, "Well, look over here. This is my girlfriend." He always likes to say, my girlfriend is one of the stars. And
Amanita's mom.
Amanita's mom. Yeah. So the young woman looks over and she's like,
and when I saw her turn around, I was like, whoa, what just happened? It was so incredible because she just was like stunned in a good way.
Yeah.
It was just like this pause in her expression. I can't explain it. I was just like, she was so excited and couldn't believe this is happening, right?
Right.
She just stepped outside to have a smoke. And here she is.
And she's like, before she turned to look, she's like, "Are you kidding me?
Right.
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?" Or something to that effect. So,
yeah.
And then he introduced us as podcasters, and she's like, "Oh, she didn't know about Live Sense8. And she didn't know about the event. And she's like, "How did I not know this? I live here." So we thought there might be a couple tickets left, last we had seen online. So she said she was heading right over to the Music Box Theater to try to buy tickets. We didn't see her, but there was a lot of people.
There was a lot of people.
So that was our first encounter. And that went on and on and on.
That set the pace.
It did. It was awesome. We had so many incredible encounters like that everywhere we went. Like I said, the Lyft driver, our driver to the airport at the end of the weekend. Oh my gosh, she was amazing. And she had not heard of it, but was so excited about it.
Thanks to James.
Yeah.
And Max.
And then Zac learned from his sensei.
I did. Sensei James. Thank you, sir.
And so, James, you don't even know this, but as soon as you guys left and we were getting on the plane, this guy comes up out of nowhere. He kind of run the terminal or something, and he comes up in front of us. He's like, "Are you guys hot?" Zach's like, "No."
No, not hot.
So anyway, he ends up staying with us to get on the plane, and we're having this conversation, and Zac effortlessly got it in, almost as pro as James. Not quite, but he weaves it right in and gets the whole thing just in time for us to get to his seat and move on. It was awesome. So we have another one. He's gonna. Well,
you weren't here for this, but we were in front of the Music Box Theater, and I went over to take a picture of the sign because they put the ropes out where you could stand in. So I just went and took a picture of the sign, put it on Twitter, and this couple walked by, and the guy's like, "Oh, what's Sense8 or whatever?" Like he saw the sign and read it and he wasn't sure what it was. So I had to jump in there, and I was like, let me tell you about it. So I did have some practice a little bit before we got
before
to
you
that
had to
point,
do it in front of me.
Exactly. But I got to watch James do it so many times. I'm like, oh, I see how this works now. All right, cool.
Right. Every waiter that we had.
There was a select couple, but you had to play it right. Like,
it was a lot of people.
There was.
There was a lot. We were walking down the street and we turned the corner and there's a yard sale going on. Mm-hmm. By the time we left, the whole family was going to watch Sense8. So it was just so much fun with that adventure. And then that kind of brings us, you were saying you were in front of Music Box Theater. So I want to say about our lunch in front of Music Box Theater. The day of, we hadn't gone. They hadn't seen Music Box Theater or where it was. So we were just going to go for a walk out to lunch earlier in the day. Oh, and you wanted to show them that really cool door.
Yeah, there was a super awesome door across the street.
Yeah, we'll put a picture up because we're going to butcher it. But basically, it said if you're racist, sexist,
homophobic, or an asshole, don't come in.
And it was a shop. Like, that was
totally a Sense8 door.
So we took all these pictures. Oh, and we went in and we told them about the whole thing. And
James
everybody in the store
and started telling them about it. And then we went in.
So everybody in that store is going to watch Sense8. But then we went over to have lunch, and we ended up just in front of the Music Box Theater at a restaurant just like one down.
Yeah.
Eating outside.
Pasta Gusto or something like that. It was a pasta joint.
And it was early, but I was the only one facing the Music Box Theater. And so everybody's chatting, the four of us are chatting. And then the first thing is, this happened earlier, so we're just talking and I'm looking and all of a sudden I'm looking and I'm like, that's Lana. I was just looking at this woman and it's Lana. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So I said, Lana just got in a car outside the Music Box Theater. So Maximilienne turns around and she can see in the waving. She can see in the car. So it was Lana and Karen and James stands up and he's wearing our Sense8 AF
our t-shirt.
And he stands up and he's like pointing it and they drive by and Lana gives him a 2 thumbs up. So, our t-shirts are now Lana approved. So that was so fun. And then we're eating and you guys are talking. And again, I'm watching this. And now I'm starting to see people are coming up to the theater and they're walking in. And you can tell a lot of them, you knew they were going to the event. And a lot of people walked right by us. And so I'm like, wow, these people are like, they're like so excited to go to this event that they're here hours and hours early, and they're walking right by one of the cast members, well, and they don't know.
Maximilienne did have a big hat and some sunglasses.
No, I know. It's normal. It was not like thinking, oh, they don't notice. I'm like just observing how many times have I walked by someone that I adore and not known? Right. I figure I do that a lot, like in New York City or whatever. But so then I start to say something, and in the moment I say it to them, it's like everybody was gone except just this one group of people. But when I started to say it, there was more. So everybody leaves, and it's just this one group of people, and this is when they get the attention. So Zac and James turn around and James does his thing. He starts pointing at the shirt again and they're looking at him like, who's this crazy guy?
I'm really confused. Are they talking to us? And I'm like, hey, come on over here. I start waving him over. And
it happened to be Jalpa, who we know online. So she comes up and she sees Zac and she's like, oh my God, because she's thinking it's a crazy guy because she couldn't read the shirt yet. She gets up, she sees the shirt. She gets all excited seeing me and Zac and she's like ready to give us all hugs and be all excited. And then she looks at the other part of the table. She's like, oh my God. I don't know what you said. I know I'm butchering everybody's responses, but the essence, the feeling of it. So she's like, she was so excited and she's there with her cousin and her daughter who just graduated. So congratulations to you. So they got pictures, and that was just so much fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
And then we went to the coffee shop, and he told the coffee shop lady.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that was all the Sense8 evangelism that we performed.
We spread the good word. Thanks to James' lead.
Zac will be knocking on doors next week in Lafayette.
Probably not.
You can go to Matt's house.
Yeah, the one dude who might like the show. I'll go hang out with him.
So back to Chicago. Amongst all of the spreading of the good word of Sense8, we had some incredible adventures too.
It was awesome. It really was. It was my first time in Chicago outside of the airport.
Yeah. And just an aside, James and Zac were chatterboxes. Like, they did not stop talking to each other. They were just do in their whole little world. I have no idea what they spoke about, but they must have saved the world in their conversation because they had enough time of chatting. It was so sweet because we were usually behind you and you're just like...
You know, we had our pace of walking and you guys had your pace of walking. That's really kind of part of the deal too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We always
it's not
had to
like
wait
you
up.
liked each other.
No, we definitely did. There's no denying that part.
So we had these adventures. So we're sitting out fairly late in the day, and we had kind of done our day. Oh, after our pedicures, and we were sitting having coffee, and then we were right by the train station. So James says, "Well, let's just get on the train, just to be on it, just to be up there. We won't go anywhere because we're pretty much, finishing up our day a little bit." He's like, "Well, we'll just go and we'll just, ride a few stops and then come back and we'll see things from above." So we're like, okay. So we get on the train and James, you're so incredibly beautiful and innocent in the enjoyment, like everything's an adventure and magical.
Yeah,
and,
able to look at things with fresh eyes.
Yeah, and so people that are just commuting on the train are like, "Who are these people and what are they on?" Because we were so giggly and fun and just in awe of everything. It's so great to be in the space of someone like that because it just gets you to
contagious.
Look in that way. So we're riding along the train, just having a great time looking at buildings. And then we come up on the river and we're like, holy crap, this is incredible. It looks so pretty coming up from the train and looking down at that river.
Yeah, it was really awesome. So I've only been to New York City once ever. That was a very special event for me because I said I would never go there, but I did. And I went there and I was like, Like, I really wasn't impressed.
Okay, just to let you know, he didn't see, because he never wanted to go there, I got him into one tiny section, used a cab, went to the event, let him walk around the area and a little bit of Central Park, and then we left. So he may not be impressed with the city, but he cannot make a judgment about the whole city.
Fair enough. Well, and most of our time in Chicago was on the river, too, around that area, downtown and stuff. But Chicago, it was impressive, very impressive in my opinion. Megatropolis, it was just a grand city, and I didn't feel that way when I was in New York City.
And Maximilienne kept talking about how clean it was too. She's like, "Look at these sidewalks, you could eat off of them. Oh my gosh, it's so clean."
It's not that way in San Francisco.
So that was fun, but we end up getting off the train to go look at the river. We were going to just look at the river and then go back. But we get off and then we start walking down the river and then we get up to the boats and we end up taking the river ride. We did the
history tour
of the lake and river. Incredible, just so beautiful, such incredible views, and what an awesome evening. And then we split because they had a gathering to go to, and we had a nice dinner, and that was the beginning of our adventures, and that became our theme. We were just on adventures. So when we had Saturday, we did the same type of thing. We just started out on our adventure into the city, preaching the good word to the Lyft driver.
Right. That happened 100% of the time.
And then we headed for the art museum and decided it was too late because apparently we do a lot of talking.
We do.
So by the time we would get to places, it was already evening. And so we decided that we decided not to do the art museum. We went to Millennium Park, and that was incredible.
We got to see the big mirror bean, and then the water area, the little fountain, the two fountains. You see it in the show.
Yeah.
With when Will's walking, he actually walks across it, and Jonas's face shows up in the show. So we got the little Sense8 scene action there with that.
And we played in the water with the kids.
We did, yeah.
And James took pictures of us. We haven't said how, James is a professional photographer. So
he's a well-known photographer.
He is incredible, and he's snapping all these incredible pictures. What a beautiful eye. He just took pictures. He was so in awe of the people, but Maximilienne and Zac and I all joined in because everybody's hanging out, getting wet in the water and letting it pour all over them. And then we were watching, and I started watching the it's really cool. Those faces respond to each other. So one will make a face, and then the other, there's these two of those, and they look at each other, and it changes out who it is. But you watch the faces; it's like they're responding to each other. It's very cool and mesmerizing.
Yeah, it was really cool.
And then we went from there. We were walking towards. We decided to go to Navy Pier, I guess, right? Or no, we were headed to a beach. We thought we would go to a beach. And we find a secret garden.
We did.
Awesome.
It was very awesome. It was right next to the Art Institute. It was like this outside. So the city's crazy. It's bustling. There's tons of people in Millennium Park. There's a festival going on with multiple musicians. And so there's just people everywhere. That's probably just Chicago in general. But then we roll over, and we're headed back to the beach, and we're next to the art museum. And then there's just like this, it's almost a sanctuary, because when you walk down in there, it's as peaceful as you could get in a bustling city. Like there's a dude meditating on the bench, and it's just a beautiful garden with some art and stuff. It was really cool.
Right. And like 15 stairs up is like mayhem.
Right.
So that was awesome. And then we're walking along. We come out of that. We're walking along, and we see this really cool trolley bus thing. And we're like, oh, that's cool. And then it's like, it's free, and it takes you to Navy Pier. So we said, let's go to Navy Pier. So we got on the bus, and we ended up at Navy Pier. And Maximilienne and I had a little assignment that we had to get done.
We did have an assignment, and you'll be able to check that out at if you check out Twitter and you're following Sense8 Worldwide. You'll be able to see that very soon.
And then we just walked to the end. It was so beautiful.
Really cool.
We're walking. Yeah, we just kind of lingered and walked on our adventure. And then we decided to walk back towards the train. And we're just walking, seeing the city. And it's like all of a sudden Maximilienne says, oh, I'm hungry. And we're like, oh, we all are. So James and Zac look across the street. They're like, let's go there. And it ended up being a perfect restaurant. We realized we were all hungry, and it was just like, that's just how effortless the weekend was.
Right. Very synchronistic.
And really thinking about it, Sense8 unions and stuff, with all the stuff that was going on and the intensity of the energy of the event, which we will talk about in just a minute. But with all of that, and with coming together with another couple, so you've got 4 people, 4 personalities who never met in the physical world, and we had no contact with James before, to be able to submerge yourself into tourism, adventure, and everything else involved in the weekend with such effortlessness.
Decision making. Yeah.
It was great. So Sense8.
Yeah.
Like, this is living. Sense8. So, Zac, should we talk about the event?
Let us talk about the event.
Do we have anything to say about the event?
Maybe we don't. Should we just cut it here?
Yeah. There's not much.
Oh, my goodness. Whoa.
Yeah, where do we start?
Let's start on the sidewalk.
All right.
So we're on the sidewalk, and we're just kind of getting there, and the bus pulls up with all the cast and crew, and out pops Lana Wachowski, and everybody's like, "Oh my God!" And so Lana actually stands by the bus, and she introduces everybody on the way in. So it's not like she just walked in, right? She's there, and she's supporting her team and letting everybody know who they are. I thought that was great.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, it was great.
This is kind of a fun episode for me to do with you, Zac, because it's hard to explain the high energy of the event and how much was going on and how much we can forget. Because like that's huge, and I forgot.
Yeah,
like it's so much
intense
to process. And
it is. I'm still processing.
we're going to be
event.
processing this for a while now. So yeah, so they start coming off, and my memory is like Moby was one of the first. And when Mumbi comes down, we're like, oh my gosh. But we didn't get to, she was looking at everyone. So we met up with her a little later. But, well, I know now from a picture, right? Like, I guess, was it Max and Toby came down?
Yeah. So, Janine, Sense8, if I got that Twitter handle right.
I want this
Right,
picture.
I do too. She has a picture that she's posted, and it's with Toby and Max. They're like the centerpiece of the picture, but they're not in the center. And behind it,
I love you, Toby and Max, but I didn't notice you because behind you.
Right. So when Michael Summers walks by us, we just look at each other and like, oh my God, and a big giant hug, all three of us. So like, if you can find that picture, we're like in the background just hugging.
Miss them coming out.
So we missed some of that stuff because we were so excited
to see Michael again. And
it's just everybody you saw, you were just so excited to see everybody, and it was just so overwhelming.
Yeah. And then everybody's kind of walking in, and then we start walking into the VIP event after everybody got off. I mean, and it was just like everyone coming off this bus. It was incredible. Like there's actors and writers and.
Yeah, we had some people from the VIP. So there's people that were roped off for the normal seating. And then there was some of us just hanging out in front waiting to get into the VIP because we couldn't go in first, right? So the bus comes in. Everybody's just polite, lets the cast and crew go in first. Sense8 Heaven, she's like, Lana, can I hug you and stuff? And I'm going to tear up. This is so crazy because when I talk about the things that happened and that I saw and that I got to experience, but because I'm so empathetic and emotional, but Lana's like, yeah, and I can't, it's bear with me, folks, I will get there. But she's just has so much gratitude to be able to meet Lana and give her a hug and tell her words, and that just rubbed off on me. So I was like almost starting to tear up just watching that because I'm awesome at limbic resonance. And then we all roll in and so, but everybody was like super polite.
Yeah, that's
and very
true.
Respectful.
And I've been at places like, I remember being at BookCon with my daughter Sarah to go see Mindy Kaling and waiting in line for that, and we weren't even going to get close, like just to see her on stage, and like people started plowing people over until they fell to the ground, and so that's not always like that. You're right. Like this was
the bus pulls up,
and there were no people holding the people behind the ropes. People just honored what they needed to honor.
Right, and all the VIP people, like we're in front of the door they have to walk into, and as soon as they pull up, everybody just makes way for them. It was a natural. Like there was nobody instructing anybody. They're just like, come on in.
Right. And it was incredible. And then we start in, and as we're about to walk in, I look over and Karen is standing right next to me. And I was like, but I haven't seen that many pictures of her. And I couldn't see her in the car earlier, but I just knew it was her. Well, I mean, I must have seen her get off the bus, and I'm just like, Karen? And she looks at me, she's like surprised that I'm noticing and excited to see her. And she's like, yeah. and then I told her we had a little gift for them, and then she gave us big hugs.
She did, yeah.
Oh my gosh, that was so awesome just to feel that love. And, you know, Karen, I know you do amazing things to make this all happen. So now I'm tearing up.
Right,
it's going to be a hard episode.
It is. We were going, like, the pace was so good, and I was like, oh, the emotions.
The emotions.
All
there
the
was
feels.
So much emotion, and it was such a, I mean, so the event itself, the VIP event, they're just in there hanging, and people are walking around. You get this one ticket, and it's weird because, like, I was handed a ticket for a drink, so my brain must have said, the next thing you do is go use this ticket. Like, I didn't think about, do I want a drink? So I start heading towards the bar, like almost like a robot, right? I was handed a ticket, so go to the bar. And then I look over and I'm standing next to Max, and we're just standing there next to each other. And neither of us are like just people, right?
Yeah.
And then I'm like, wait a second. You know, it's like then I start waking up like, oh, hi, Max.
Wolfgang Max.
Right, Wolfgang
right.
Max. There's a lot of Maxes in this show.
Yeah.
So we exchange, and I thank him for his work, and then I ended up, were you up there by then?
Well, yeah. So when I saw Max, and we look at each other, and there's no words or anything. I was just like, okay, like there's this. I was processing everybody's auras and personal energy and all this stuff because there's, we're talking about really beautiful people in real life.
Real life,
they're and I'll get into this more. But anyway, so Max is there, and he just opens up. Like when I saw him, he just like throws his hands out in the air and gives me this big smile, and we just hug. Like it was just like,
yeah.
And to see him open up like that, I was just like, oh my God.
Yeah. And then we mentioned the podcast, and he knew about it. And that, I want to give a shout out to everyone who spoke highly of us before we got there. So I know there's probably more, but thank you to Amy and Maximilienne and Ethan for sharing that you like our podcast and
that you like us as people.
Yeah. Because most of the people that we went up to it, especially the cluster and Lana and Karen, that I didn't even say that when we told Karen who we were, she knew, everybody knew about our podcast and expressed gratitude to us as well. And
yeah.
Right? And so
I didn't really expect that.
Yeah, no, I did not.
I knew there was going to be some listeners there, and there were.
And we had all you listeners, that we are connecting with on Twitter and Facebook, and seeing all you guys. I mean, that happened in this, and that's just as awesome.
Right.
And yeah, so we're going to try to remember our encounter with some of these different people, because I think you guys would like that. So
yeah, I actually didn't get a chance to meet everybody.
No,
in the VIP area.
I didn't either.
There were, I think they did a fair amount of tickets because there wasn't enough time to mingle and talk to everybody.
There was enough time. There weren't like lines around people.
There
but it
weren't.
it was hard to, we all were clustered together, and and then you talked to people
exactly.
for a while.
Like you wanted to have a conversation and not just be like, get my picture and what's up. It's like, oh, you're an awesome person.
Right.
And
yeah, I think the next one I think Maximilienne introduced me to Freema next and told her about the episode. And that was awesome, about the show and meeting her. I mean, she's such a professional, beautiful actress. She really is. And of course I've loved her since Doctor Who, and my kids are, Doctor Who fans, and we grew up that way. They grew up that way. So I did have to circle back around and get a picture.
Right. She has a very powerful presence.
She
in my
does
opinion.
have a very powerful presence. And then.
So while you were doing that, I saw Toby. And I'm like, Toby, what's up?
Right. And I got to Toby, and he already had been planning to do our podcast. Like,
right.
We were
so
I'm going to do it.
I did ask him. I was like, I heard it was okay. You said it was cool. We get to the invite. And he's like, yeah. And he's like, here's my email address. So I was like, great, sweet.
Yeah. So Toby should be on. And some of the people I'm like, well, we're saying hello, but we know we get time to talk to you later, so I should share you with other people. And so. Right,
it was a hard thing because we had an opportunity to give out some invitations in person because the real channels are very difficult to get through.
Yeah,
and when I was talking to Brian, he's like, "Yeah, I know how that goes."
Right, because Brian agreed to be on too, and he gave us his contact, and he was like. He understood, like he was totally on board with doing it, but it's hard for them to know,
right?
Too,
there's so much information. Everybody's so busy, and agents do their own thing.
The agents do their thing, and even if like you tweet at him, like he's getting thousands of notifications every time, and I know I can't keep up with the notifications for us, and that's nowhere near that,
right?
So, yeah. And Prima said she would definitely support it. She's got a lot going on right now in a new show.
She did say she was busy.
And she'll support it and help promote it and check it out. Although she actually had liked one of our Twitter comments the night before, so that was interesting. I think that was just synergy. I don't know how that happened, but yeah, so Brian was awesome again.
So from there, I think we got to talk with somebody who's pretty awesome. He's kind of behind the scenes, Mr. John Toll. We got to have a little conversation with him and get our picture taken with him. So that was awesome.
What an incredible presence. Brilliance. It's like, and that was a little hard because it was noisy in there. And where we were, I was having to work so hard to hear him, but it's like even when I didn't hear him, I could feel him, like the experience, the brilliance, the vision he has to do what he does
to make awesome art.
Yeah, that like I'm just going back in that moment. That was almost. Well, I mean, the whole thing was surreal, but within that. It was almost like time standing still when we were over there to me. Like just.
It was a pleasure.
Yeah.
It was.
I mean, other writers and people from behind the scenes that was a little harder for me because they're not in that crowd. You know when you see Toby because you've seen him so many times or Brian or, some of these others. But I have so much respect and honor for some of the behind the scenes. I would have loved to have been able to speak to more. I saw the man who was a writer who, at least I think I saw him, but then I didn't get back and couldn't find him again. But I'd watched that recording of one of the writers speaking, and he's amazing. And I'm pretty sure I saw him there. And then Ethan, we got to see
Mr. Ethan
and meet his beautiful wife.
I was asking people, I was like, have you seen Ethan Stoller? Where's he at? Like, I was.
Yeah, Lana, I like you, but where's Ethan?
Right. He came in fashionably late.
Yes. And that was just awesome to see him. And at one point, Amy, for people who were there, Amy and Amanda, or if you've heard about the Pinky Swear, they're twins that got up on the stage to do the Pinky Swear with us, that we would talk about our feelings, but not what we feel, but not what we see.
Yep.
And, so was it Maximilienne who introduced us to Amy?
She was there. Like, she was in that. I don't know.
But when Amy realized who we were, she loves our podcast.
Right, that was a surprise.
Yeah.
Like, yes,
and
right.
oh my gosh, the hug! What? Oh, Amy, I like you. You're so sweet. So that was fun. Yeah, I mean, that to me, like, still surreal, like that people listened. Sometimes we do this and we're like, well, we're doing it for ourselves. Maybe someone will listen. I mean, we know you guys listen, but we didn't know that these people.
It's different when you meet people who appreciate your work in real life versus because there's a visceral reaction, and there's a connection there versus some text you might see on a blog post or Twitter.
And that was with everyone.
Right. So that was really special.
And all of you. It was so cool. And then somewhere along the way, we met Lana.
We did. This was, to me, I got a little speechless there. I was like, whoa. So I get up to Lana and I introduce us to Lana and tell her that we're from the Live Sense8 podcast. And she took a step, I was expecting like a handshake and hug and all that kind of stuff. And she took a step back and she gave us a deep bow. And I was like, what is happening right now? This is incredible. I was like, I didn't even know I can't even talk about it right now. I was like, whoa.
Right.
Whoa. And then the hugs and all that kind of, and the words
And I am so glad. So we brought her a little gift and a card, and I had been able to write what I could talk to Lana for hours. I have so much to say. But what was most important for me to say to Lana and Karen, I had put in the card, which I'm so grateful for because it freed me to just be in the moment. So Lana and I talked about both being cusps. She's like, I don't know, somebody else said something about astrology or something. I mean, her birthday's coming up, so maybe it was about that. And she says, I'm a cusp. And I say, I'm a cusp too. And she says, you are? What cusp are you? And I said, Taurus and Aries. And she just gets quiet and she looks. That's a powerful cusp. So that was, and then there was some other talking, and well, she shared hers, and then there's talking and then pictures.
There was pictures. So in the midst of all of this, there's some birthday parties going on.
Oh yeah.
So we're at the VIP party, and Toby finds out one of the fans has a birthday. And so he's like, this is Sense8. This is how we do it. And he gets up on a chair and he tells everybody her name, and we all sing happy birthday to her. So in the mix of like all the chaos and meeting people and the energy and all this kind of stuff, we're singing happy birthday and celebrating people too.
Yeah. And then that went on two more times.
It did, yeah.
I remember two. You remember one. Who knows?
Who knows? Yeah, I remember when I was talking to Trey, he plays one of the fathers, Amanita's fathers, and he put the person, instead of being on the chair, he actually put the person up, and it's like, all right, we're singing happy birthday to her this way, Right. So it was great. It was awesome. And that's one thing I got to say is about the cast and the crew. They spread the love.
They do spread the love, and they live it. And yeah, it's incredible to see what they can do at these events. Like, it is so intense. There's so many emotions. There's so much love and excitement and admiration. And when you're standing here with the cast and crew members, they give you their attention for however long that may be, all of it. Yeah. Like, they are open to you, and you have their attention and their presence, and they do that person after person after person with all of this chaos going on. And it's an incredible thing because they give it back to the fans. They do.
They definitely give it back to the fans.
And we had a chance to talk to Dave Walsh, who's the facility manager. And he, in our conversation with him, like, this is the foundation of everything they do. Like, there is no other side to the Wachowskis or to any of this work. Like, they are this. They embody this in all that they do, which is pretty cool.
It is. And, everybody we've talked to and interviewed and the process of casting and all this, the Wachowskis, they set the stage.
Yeah.
For the quality of their environment.
Right.
To work. And it just, they live the Sense8 way, so to speak. And it's an incredible thing to have experienced.
Yeah. And then Mumbi, we see Mumbi.
What?
I know. And she's like, hugs us. And she's like, I brought you coffee. She brought us coffee from Kenya.
And she said she was going to do that.
Yeah. And we're at this big event. And she's like, oh my God, I forgot their coffee. Mumbi, we love you. We tried to hook up later to get the coffee, but our schedules weren't matching. But oh my God, just that you brought that.
Right.
Like, that's so incredible.
It is.
And then we had made an editing mistake on her. You'll listen to it if you go back. And I'm like, I'm sorry, because we heard it the night before. We were listening it like the night before after edits. And I'm like, we both looked at each other like, oh my God, we made a mistake. And she's like, I heard that, but it works. And she explains why it works all. And she's so sweet. Like, that was awesome. And oh my gosh, the love. And then we got, I gotta find, like, so Zac was taking pictures of the two of us, and
they wouldn't stop laughing. They wouldn't.
There's like 8 pictures, and there's not one good one. But it was so weird because we were laughing. We weren't trying to do anything, but if you look at the pictures, our facial expressions, like, kind of match in every single picture, but they're all really bizarre. But we'll try to put one up. So, yeah, that was funny and fun. And it is cool too, because, when we interview people, we go really deep and we talk to them for a couple hours. So you have this deep love, like, and when Mumbi was recording, this was just starting, and there was a moment where I felt like, we were talking about someday we'll meet, and I almost said, like, there was a moment where I thought it was gonna be there, and then I didn't want to ask the question because I knew she wasn't gonna be able to answer, and she's like, and then once we realized and we could talk about it, she's like, I wanted to say something, but I wasn't, so it's just so cool because
she was good at keeping the secret.
She was good. I didn't find out good, as I shouldn't, until we got the announcement. And then I messaged her and she's like, I know, I couldn't tell you. So that was fun and awesome. And then, Purab.
Yep, Purab. We're doing the best we can.
I know.
We apologize.
I wish I was
if we don't have the right
Maximilienne can do any pronunciation of any name. It's insane. She's so good at it, and it just makes me feel even worse. But his presence.
Oh my goodness. It was beautiful. He has a very elegant, powerful presence about him as well, and he's very calm and peaceful, and just almost from my interaction, right, my perception, he was kind of soft spoken too, very gentle.
Yeah,
and it was a pleasure.
It was. And when I asked him about being on the podcast, he's like, if you want me.
Of course we do.
Of course we want you. Why wouldn't you? And so, so he said yes to that and gave his contact information. So that should be coming up, which is awesome.
Yes.
Very
so
cool.
we did get some contact information from some more people. So everybody's super busy and doing their things. So We'll do the best we can. There's no guarantees at this point.
Right.
And you'll get the announcement when it's scheduled.
Right.
And so we can bring that to you so you can have a listen and have some fun along with us.
Right. All right. So, and then Trey also said he'd be on too.
Trey's going to come join us.
Same type of thing. Like, if you want me, I'm like, yeah, we want
Right, of course.
And we did. The fairies were there, and I didn't
get to meet them.
I didn't get to meet them either, but we have contacts for them, and I'm pretty sure they'll.
Yeah, that would be awesome if they would come join us as well.
But maybe my favorite meeting. Everyone was amazing. I know you shouldn't pick favorites, but there's something about this one that's going to go deep into my heart forever. I think I'm crying. So I was walking out of the theater. Well, I knew that Lana's parents were going to be there, but we were walking out after the filming, and we're walking out, and I see this older couple, and there's some people around them, and I said to Zac, I think that's probably Lana's parents. And he split off to go to the loo, and I was standing there, and I couldn't really see the woman's face, but that it was a tall man, and now I'm thinking, well, yeah, that would be an indication. Very tall man. And just as I'm trying to process, this is always in a matter of seconds probably, but I'm trying to process, is this really them? And am I going to know? This was right
after we got out of the
Yeah, I had screening. Just seen the screening, listened to everyone on stage, and we walk out. We're already just overwhelmed. We walk out, and I see this, and I'm processing in that. And the second that I'm processing is this Lana's parents. The man says, I want to see Lana before we leave. And so I just knew in my heart. And so I reached in, and this is not really, you might not know out there, but I'm actually shy. Like I'm good when I'm presenting. When I'm presenting, then that's one thing. But for me to take that moment to reach out to someone, and in the room, everybody was expected to connect, and that was easier. But in a setting that's just not structured like that, for me to take that leap is actually kind of big. I know it.
She does not do what James does.
No, I do not do what James does. I would have to go to years and years of training with James to be able to do that. So for me to do this was like a big deal. But I leaned in, and I had so much love, and I just leaned into this woman without even seeing her face or having any confirmation that this is Lana's mom. And I leaned in, and I touched her, and I said in her ear, because it was really chaotic in there, and I just said into her ear, thank you for bringing them into this world. And she turned around, and she looked at me. And she looked exactly like Lana. So I kind of knew when she turned around, I had gotten the right person. And she just looked at me, and she kissed me, and we're looking, and again, all of this is suspended in time. Or maybe I said Lana's mom or something out loud. And then she looked at me again, and then she pulled me in tight, and she gave me this kiss on the cheek again that was just filled with even more love, and it went through me. And her love and her honor for her children, and I don't even know if she knew everything going on with the evening. It was so chaotic, but she knew that I was honoring her, and she knew how proud she was. And it reminded me of my dad because, this was under different circumstances. Her reasoning was the chaos going around. But with my dad, who has Alzheimer's, he doesn't remember everything, but he remembers his love for me. And he knows, even if he doesn't know who we are in the moment, he knows he has 3 daughters that he loves so much. And that was that that same, like, no matter what's going on here, you know, I love my children, and I have so much love and honor for them. So I could have been projecting some of that on, I don't know, but there was that same deep, pure honor and love. And I'm crying, but
Beautiful.
we're moving on. Yeah, moving on. That was like a huge, you know.
That was a very potent, the feels and the love.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the feels. Yeah. And then we went, and there was Ethan, and we got to talk to Ethan some more. And then Amy came up and gave me another hug, and and then we went outside. We got to meet more of all of your Twitter and
The
social
tweeps.
media and our Patreons. And I don't even know. I just heard some, because everybody else left out the back door. I mean, not but like the stars all left out the back door.
Yeah,
and somebody like made some joke and came up to us as the semi-stars. Like, suddenly now everybody's gone, and now
Hey, you guys are left. We'll come talk.
But that was just a fun joke. And then we got to and then we got to go out with some.
We did. We got to go eat some pizza pie, which apparently I did a good job of picking that out.
Yeah, you did. It was really good.
Good enough for that to be pointed out on Twitter.
So there was a bunch of people, but we actually sat and had pizza with Janine Sense8 and Sense8 Sarah and Sense8 Heaven, and they have real names, but we're on public announcements, so we go public. So, what an incredible, incredible evening.
Yeah, it was so powerful, so powerful. So, shall we move on to our feels?
Our feels of the show. Yeah, let's do that. So here's the warning. Again, we are not giving out spoilers. We are sticking to our pinky swear.
Of course.
Nothing that we have seen, but our feelings. And a little bit maybe about the Q&A. That's not going to give anything away. But if you want no information prior to the special release, then
I would actually like to say something before. So just bear with me, folks. I was going to say it after, but if some of you guys are going to bounce and not listen to this part, you can hear this. The energy, the excitement, the love, the back and forth, the gratitude, all of this was just incredible to experience. I remember going to Star Wars when the episode 1, 2, and 3 came out. That was a big deal. People dressed up, it was a really big deal, and people were loud and people stood up and cheered and whatever. This, and the theater's full, this just was nothing like anything like that. Like, this is such a unique experience. The energy, that the love that and excitement that everybody put into this entire event was palpable. And it is, in my perception, whether it's a conscious understanding or a subconscious understanding, being part of this event, I know it changed me. And I'm pretty sure, whether people are aware of it, it changed them on a very subtle level. Like, I'm still processing everything that's going on. There's still a lot of emotion involved, but it was just such a powerful thing. It was an event that it's a once in a lifetime thing they get to go around, right, and travel the world and do premieres and be with fans, but for a fan, right, that's not on the cast. So knowing that on this end, and then just seeing all the emotions that they had at the end at the Q&A and all of the love, it's an epic thing. It was just a beautiful thing. And everything that what I'm saying is I've got to experience on a bigger level too how everybody's being changed by Sense8, right? This wasn't watching Sense8. This was being in a room full of people who love Sense8. That was life-changing. Instead of just watching the show, right? just so it was a very beautiful thing.
I agree. And as you're talking and I'm thinking about that, there's only one thing that I want to talk about where the people might want to leave for if you don't want to. But even that is going to be, I don't see why, I don't think we're getting any close to spoilers. I don't know if people even need to.
Well, some people expressed that they didn't want to know people's reactions.
Right.
Right. So if that's you.
Yeah, then you need to.
Then you can.
Just pause and come back to us after you.
Yeah, after you see it or whatever.
Yeah. So, okay. So that's that moment. Pause if you really. I really don't know that we're going to say. I mean, we're going to be really careful not to say anything. And we're going to do a whole nother episode where we actually talk about our reaction and our feeling. And then we'll release that after the public has seen it. So that stuff won't be in here. But anyway. One of the things that like you said, with the feelings and the expression, and you had mentioned this before, and I felt it too, was the love, and we've talked about this in podcasts before. Every time a supporting character appeared, there was applause and there was love. And there aren't that many shows where people love the supporting characters with as much passion as they do the leads.
Right. So much gratitude.
Yeah. Yeah. That was really cool to see. And
so for me, definitely, it was a strange. We're talking about feelings now. It was strange. I actually felt nostalgic watching it, which I didn't expect, and I can't explain why, because we're immersed in Sense8 all the time. So it's not like Sense8 has left my life by any stretch of the imagination. So I did feel nostalgic, and I felt a lot of gratitude, and of course, I there was moments where there were some tears, and I felt satisfied as well.
Mm-hmm. And there's so much. We're going to have to watch it again, but I felt, I didn't know how I felt. I mean, I felt that same feeling that you're talking about, but it was hours later when I was almost asleep where I processed something that happened. And this is not a plot line. There's going to be very few people that would ever think of wanting this to be, but going back to when we were with Michael Summers, and I had been, and he kept complete confidentiality. Nobody gave us anything behind the scenes of what was going to happen, but we were talking about my feelings about humanity and storylines in general, and what I wanted for the entertainment industry and the arts to happen over the next period of time in my lifetime. And shortly after that, he said, "I think you're really going to like what Lana did." And that was it. And in it, I partway through, I kind of thought about that conversation, and it didn't hit until I was almost asleep at night. And and Zac was already asleep. So I was just like, I'm like, holy crap. Oh my God, she did it. I didn't know it could be done. And she did it. And whoa. So that, now that I know that, and it's not like a ton of people would be interested, because it's not about the plot. It's more about storytelling and the art in general. So, yeah. So in that, I'm completely awestruck. One of the questions, and this is not, we won't reveal anything with this, but I have had people come up to me before, or and ask me, or reach out to me and ask me if it seemed more like an ending or if it seemed like an ending. And my answer to that is we knew going in there was only one way to do that this episode, and that's to complete some of the story arcs and to leave it open. And that's what it is. And we always knew, no matter what is in front of us, that was what this episode would have been if it was a season finale or if it was a general finale. So there is no information about that. There is only speculation and interpretation. So if people are concerned about trying to interpret that, everybody is interpreting that in their own way. And that still doesn't mean anything because nothing has been decided. And therefore, this episode could only have ever been that, in my opinion. And that's what it was.
Yep. There's a lot of interpreting going on
right.
about many things when it comes to Sense8 and its life cycle.
Right. And it's understandable, but I mean, that would just be the only thing I would have to say about that. Like anything people are hearing about how it was interpreted, or like, yeah, there just only ever was one way to do that. I mean, there's a million ways to do it as far as the storyline, but as far as this episode, it had to be like it had to
be the way it was.
Yeah, it just did. Like that's. It just did. That's what it was about. So, and then the only thing I want to say about the Q&A after is Lana, of course, was asked in multiple ways if there would be a season 3 or what. And she said she wouldn't ever restrict love or refuse love, something to that effect. And, say no to love. And for me, that was an honoring of knowing that we all love in different ways, and that people who are fighting for the episode or the Sense8 to continue are fighting because they love it so much. And she honors that as love. People who are satisfied with it, and just enjoying it as it is, that's love. Like she will take love in any form, and she honors everybody's path of what you need to do, and everybody plays their own role in that. So whatever again, like we've said, whatever you feel in your heart is what you need to do moving forward as far as promoting or, being in yeah. Speaking the good word. I mean, that's really important. All of that is important. The story is got to be heard.
Lana did mention she was tired and she needs a break. She didn't say she didn't want to do anything. She just said she needed a break. She did mention that.
Did she?
Yeah, she did. And
which she should. And they're
right. Like this
she
is
did.
monument. This is not easy work. And as if some of you saw Brian, his speech, because I know it's on Twitter, we didn't put that up, but he said Lana did nothing. Every day she came in and she was nothing short of heroic.
Right.
This is high energy work. They shot this in like 26 or 29 days. This particular thing, not including the whole series. Like this is really intense. You're working with teams of people all the time. Like it is nothing. This caliber of work.
And even John Toll was talking about that. With all the work that he's done, pulling off, this is bigger than a movie. And they pulled it off in much less time than movies are produced. Right. Like, they need to breathe. That's how. Right. That doesn't mean they don't want to keep going. It's just, they just need to rest.
And there is so much love. There is so much emotion. Like we need time to process all of that,
Right. And Sense8 can't die, and Lana can't stop being Lana. Like there is no death here, no matter what happens, in my opinion. The one thing that was huge for me we didn't get the names of the people. Ethan told me again after, and I forgot.
Oh.
But there's two there. It doesn't matter because it's everyone, and we'll give a shout out but she mentioned 2 people at Netflix who had really made this show available and supported, and she wanted love and honor to them. But really the more important thing, and we'll get the names and we'll all give them love and gratitude. But that reminder, and we've talked about it in the episodes, and that we've talked about things, and this, I believe this so important for us all to remember in any area of life that we do this, any aspect, any organization. But she said, remember that there are real people in Netflix doing real good things. And I think that
to be thankful.
And to be thankful.
And not give Netflix any hate.
She didn't say that. That's Zach's. I mean, I'm trying to.
Fair enough. That's my interpretation.
I agree. Yeah, like I don't like hate in any form.
If
but
you're giving gratitude, I don't know.
I know, but I don't want it to sound
fair
like
enough.
She said that. She just said, remember that there are good people in there, and so she might have said send them love. I don't know, but yes. So. Just remember that they're real people, and love is powerful.
It is. It's all about the loves.
So that's our weekend. I didn't mean to go in I don't want to sound like we're lecturing anyone, but that's what the answer was. People are asking, what do we do next? And I think one thing is being angry can be a form of love. Being strong spoken can be a form of love. Just love and think about how you love.
Be creative. That's one thing I've learned.
And there's a lot of creative, loving
transforming
people doing.
Anger into creativity is way more productive than transferring anger into destructive behaviors.
Which,
in my opinion,
right? And I think that's what most people are doing. Yeah. So remember, people are people, because that's what the Sense8 message is. And I think. Yeah. Being able to go out and witness that, like being with James and living that energy, he's so successful at that because he embodies it. It's in him. You meet him, you fall in love with him. So when you're falling in love with his energy and he's telling you about this and he's embodying it, how could you not want to go out there? So just be your Sense8 selves. Like if we all can just be Sense8 and live life from this vibration, and then people are going to want this.
It is. There's one thing I want to talk about in the Q&A, and I don't know. It was really powerful. I know everybody was like really paying attention to like the Netflix talk and all this kind. Where's the after party and all that kind of stuff, right? But there was a woman in the audience, and she asked Lana. She says to Lana, "What can you say to people who don't say?" Okay, I thought I was going to be okay. She
cries,
right? I know.
Cry.
Well, I can. I just want to be able to cry and talk at the same time, and that's what I'm working on. But she says, "What do you say to people that are in, say, China or other places who don't have, it's not available to them to have love in this form, right? Open and free and self-acceptance and whatever that form may be to you." And Lana's, that's a really hard question. It wasn't even a question. It's just like, what can you, Lana, give us some wisdom here, right? And to me, I felt like, I just felt my heart sink, because love is available for everybody. And it is the one resource that every single human being has the capacity to access. And it's the one thing that transforms the world. And the repression of love is, it's a problem. And Lana's answer, she said it's going to be slow, right? Because artwork like this is slow. But she basically said, we made art like this, and it will get around the world. It already has gotten around the world, and it's going to inspire other people to make art like this, and that will inspire people. And so that was great wisdom that I thought Lana shared with the entire crowd. And I actually thought that was I mean, just the sunken heart was felt for me and everybody, and like the tears, and like I was just looking at the stage, like it was that's a big thing to tackle, and she had an amazing answer, in my opinion, and that goes along with the lines of what you said. We have to, this has been said on this podcast, it's going to be said again, it is the theme of this podcast, you have to live the Sense8 life for things to continue on. Mm-hmm. Right? You have to embrace consciousness and love and diversity and open-heartedness and self-acceptance, and you have to live it the best you can. This is not an easy path.
Right.
This is the hardest path, right? But when you have the courage, which is brought up in the show quite often, you can do it. Right? And Lana did say, she said in the Q&A, she said, I never ever imagined myself being able to make art, being this person I am, and being able to, and she pointed to the screen, make art like this. But I am, and I can, and I did. And that was the inspirational message for everybody else around the globe. Like, it is possible. We just have to say yes to it and be diligent about our daily life.
Yeah, and I was thinking that same line, and then as you said it, I'm like, oh, right, that's almost the same line that Amanita said to Nomi in season 1. Because it's true, and it's from her heart. I'm just smiling because it is how much. And she did say that this is the most personal thing she's ever put out. It's more of an expression of her. But then I think she turned around and kissed Karen, and she said, I didn't married to her, know, it was... and just the love and the love they embody, that they bring through, they're living it. And that's why the art is so amazing. And that's why the show is so, it goes back to what Dave Walsh said, that in what we said about meeting all these characters, like they're living it. This isn't fake. This isn't a screen that they get up there and then they turn around and they're jerks to each other. Like, this is how you are. And how we need to be or want to aspire to be in every moment. And it starts with loving yourself too. Like,
absolutely. Yeah.
There's that love that you let love in. And
if you can't love yourself, let somebody else love you. Because it's got to start with love, whether it's from yourself or somebody else.
Just let love in. Let love be love. In. Love is love. And
yes.
And that's Chicago 2018 Sense8 Screening Event. I just want to say that for prosperity. All right, guys, we had an amazing time. We loved meeting everyone we met, and we love all of you. And we got a lot of exciting episodes coming ahead with all the connections we made, all the episodes we still have left to dive into. And we'll do another special episode about how we actually, our interpretation and deep exploration into the special after that goes public. So, love you.
I want to give a big shout out to our editor of the Live Sense8 podcast, Sarah Applegate. Thank you very much. And thank you for all you listeners out there. Thank you for the love, the support on social media, the shares. It was great meeting you in Chicago. If you were there, you can always contact us on Twitter. Our handle is @live_sense8.com. Our email is team@livesense8.com. Please consider supporting the show. We do have bonus content available on Patreon, and that's patreon.com/livesense8. And until next time, live that Sense8 life.